Good afternoon, all. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in the last class, we have started the concept of software development life cycle, right? What is software development life cycle? Anybody? What is the other name for software development life cycle? Right.
Software
Can you hear my
development.
voice or not? Yeah, the other name for software development life cycle is software development process. As I told that SDLC stands for software development life cycle. It is an acronym for software development life cycle. And as I told that it is a framework. It is a framework for defining the tasks that are performed at each step in the software development process. Right. As I told that the software development process is not a single step process. There are a lot of steps that are involved, and there are a lot of people that are involved in developing the software, and there are a lot of stages that are involved. So at each and every stage, what are the tasks that the software engineer has to perform, or the designer has to perform, or the requirement analyst has to perform? All these tasks will be defined in the form of a framework, and that framework we call it as the software development lifecycle, right? And this is most probably used in every software industry. So any software industry that develops the software, they will make use of this software development lifecycle. Why we are going to use this? To design the software. Similarly, it is used to develop the software. It is used to test the software. And the ultimate goal of any software industry should be to develop a high quality software, right? So the ultimate goal of any software industry should be to develop a high quality software. In order to develop the high quality software, what do you mean by high quality software? So that software should meet the requirements of the customer, or the software that was developed should exceed the customer expectations. In both the cases, we say that it is a high quality software. In order to achieve this high quality software, one should follow a sequence of steps, and those sequence of steps is called as a framework, and that framework we are call it as SDLC, right? So how many stages are there in SDLC?
Six, sir.
Six
stages, sir.
So, 6 stages. So SDLC is a process which is followed for a software project. It is used by a software project team within a software organization, and it is used to develop a high quality software, right? So it consists of detailed plan describing how you develop the things, how we maintain the software, how we replace the modules in the software, and how we alter or enhance the specific software. So everything will be documented in the software development lifecycle. Right. So these are the 6 stages we have. The first stage is planning, second stage is defining, third stage is designing, fourth one is product development or building, and fifth one we call it as testing, and sixth one we call it as deployment. Out of all these steps, which step is important?
Designing, building.
Design.
All steps are important, but most of the thing we follow that designing takes more time, right? Most of the time we spend in designing, right? But all the 6 steps are important for a software development, right? So what happens in planning? This is otherwise called as planning and requirement gathering. Requirements gathering as well as requirements analysis. It is also called as requirement analysis, right? So in the planning stage, what we will do is senior members from the software development team, they will sit around and they will arrange a meeting, and along with the customer as well as the market leaders and as well as the technical leaders, everybody will sit, and the customer will keep on explaining his requirements to the senior members. And the senior members, what they will do is they keep on recording all the things. So that is called as requirements gathering. That's the reason why the name is given as requirements gathering. They gather the requirements from the customer. Who gather the requirements? Those are nothing but the senior members of the software development team, right? Similarly, after that, they analyze the requirements. What is the need of analysis? What is the need of analysis? Anybody?
అనాలిసిస్ చేస్తేనే వాళ్ళు ఏం కావాలనుకుంటున్నారో తెలుసుద్ది కదా సార్. అంటే ఏమి చేయకుండా
ఏం కావాలనుకున్నది రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ గ్యాదరింగ్ లో తెలుస్తుంది. దే విల్ కమ్ టు నో వాట్
ప్లాన్ చేసుకోవచ్చు సార్.
ఎక్స్పెక్టింగ్ is done at the requirements gathering stage, but at the analysis stage they gather all these requirements and they start analyzing it. Analysis gives whether it is feasible to give the product or not. That means customer ఏదో ఒక పిచ్ కోరికలు అడగచ్చు అన్న, right? The customer needs some modules which may not be possible for the development team, right? So the feasibility of the product can be given after the careful analysis of the requirements only, right? So once the requirements has been gathered, we go to the next stage, which is called as defining. So we will write a document called as SRS. What is SRS? Software requirement specification. So this document is documented by the senior members, which consists of all the requirements from the customer. So ikkada requirements evaithe gather chestaro, all those requirements will be documented in the form of a SRS. So SRS is a very important document which is defined at the defining stage, right? So once the SRS document has been given or documented, the next stage is design. This is very important step where the architects and designers, they sit here, and based upon this SRS they will design one more document called as DDS. DDS stands for Design Document Specification, right? It consists of all the flow charts, how the data is moving from one module to another module, the control flow, how the control is moving from one module to another module. Everything will be given in this DDS, Design Document Specification, right? And as I told that there is no single design for this, right? They will give 2 or 3 designs, and again the senior members of the team, they will sit around and they will decide which module or which design is best for developing this product, right? What do you mean by best product? Right, there are 3 terms called as technical feasibility and economical feasibility, right? What do you mean by economical feasibility? So if you design a good product, or if you design a product with good design, then the cost that is incurred for developing the product will be less. So you should develop a product with less cost. Then we can say that it is a good design, right? Similarly, all the technical specifications, this is called as technical feasibility. So whether it is feasible to develop the product with which language, whether it is possible to develop the product with C language or C++, or whether we have to go for the Python, all these things will be taken care by the technical feasibility, right? Feasibility means whether we can achieve it with some minimum cost or not. Economical feasibility. Technical feasibility, whether we can achieve it with good technical skills or not. That is discussed in the technical feasibility and economical feasibility, right? So the DDS gives all, we have some n number of designs. So the design team, what they will do is they will design 2 or 3 designs for the same product, and again the senior members of the development team, they will sit around and they will decide upon one particular design which gives the feasibility report, right? So which is economically feasible and which is technically feasible, they will select it and they will send that document, DDS document, to the building team. This building team is otherwise called as product development team. This is called as product development team. So all the developers, the BTech people, all the BTech and MTech people, they are more interested to join this building stage only, right? As I told that the planning, defining and designing will be done by the senior members. The planning, defining and designing will be done by the senior members, whereas this product development will be done by the newly entry people or the freshers like you people, right? So the product development stage, what happens here is the people or the developers, they develop the code for the product, right? Which language should be used for the development of the product, what technology should be used, everything will be defined inside this DDS, right? Everything will be defined inside this DDS. The simple task the programmer has to do is he has to take this DDS document and whatever specifications that are specified in this DDS, they have to follow it. That's it, right? Code, they can code it on their own, their own logic they can use. But whether they have to use the Python programming language, whether they have to use the C++, whether they have to use the JavaScript, all these things should be specified in the DDS only, right? So the programmer does not have any choice. Here, the programmer has the choice of his own logic, but not the choice of his own programming language, right? Everything will be decided by the designers. Why designers take the choice of specifying the programming language and everything? Why? Because the designers will have the SRS document, and in this SRS document they have a detailed description of the requirements. So all these things are dependent. The requirements is dependent on SRS, SRS is dependent on DDS, and hence the designers, they think of a solution or they will design a product by keeping in mind the economical feasibility and technical feasibility. So the programmer has to follow this DDS, nothing to do with it, right? So after developing the product, they have to go for the next stage, which is called as testing. What is called as testing? So whatever product after this development stage, you will get the actual product, right? You will get the actual product that is requested by the customer or the client. So that product has to be tested. Without testing, the product cannot be delivered to the customer. So the testing team, they will take the product and again they will have these SRS documents and they will check whether the product has been developed according to the requirements of the customer or not. For example, I say that the tab should have purple color, or it should have some 5 tabs in my web page. Whether the 5 tabs has been implemented in the product or not, it will be tested by the tester. Whether the user specified color, that is purple for the tabs, has been given by the development team or not, it will be tested like that, right? So there are number of tasks that are to be performed by the testing team, right? After testing, if the requirements are not satisfied or if the product is not up to the mark of the requirements of the customer, what they will do is they will again send the product to the building team. So the building team, the product development team, they will again take and they will modify the product according to the requirements or according to the instructions that are given by the testing team, and again they will deliver the product to the testing team. Again they will test. Once the testing team is satisfied with the product that is delivered by the product team, that means the product has met all the requirements that is given by the customer. So they will give they'll give the acceptance for this product and they will go for the next stage, which is called as deployment. Deployment, as I told, the deployment is nothing but releasing the product onto the market or releasing the product or delivering the product to the customer or client. It is called as deployment. So once the product has been satisfied by the testing team, they will release the product to the customer. That stage we call it as deployment. So once the product is deployed to the customer, there may be some situations where the product may malfunction, right? Some of the functionalities may be not functioning correctly. In such case, what the software team has to do is they have to provide the maintenance. So deployment and maintenance is after releasing the product. So maintenance is a term that comes once the product is given to the client. Okay, sir. Once the product is given to the client. So whenever we have some malfunctions from the software, again the customer support team from the product from the software industry, they will give some instructions, or they will take the product and they will give the necessary modifications, right? So deployment and maintenance is a term that is given after giving the, or after releasing the product to the customer, right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So phase 1 is planning and requirement analysis. Phase 2 is defining the requirements and in terms of SRS. And phase 3 is designing the product. Here we have a product called DDS, Design Document Specification. And after that, we develop the product and test the product and deploy and then maintain. So these are the 6 phases of SDLC. Right. And as I told that planning and requirement analysis, this is the first step in the SDLC. This is the fundamental stage, and this particular stage is also important. You have to collect all the requirements from the customer. As I told that it is performed by the senior members of the team. So requirements gathering is not a simple task, right? A fresher cannot sit with the client and he cannot gather the requirements from the customer. It requires some experience, right? So that is the reason why some senior members from the team, development team or the software team, will be given this job of gathering the requirements from the customer, right? So the senior members of the team, they will sit with the customer. Similarly, they will sit with the sales department. They will sit with the market surveys, and they will sit with the domain experts. Domain experts are nothing but technical experts, right, in the industry, and they keep on discussing about the requirements of the customer, right? And whatever requirement that is gathered or whatever information that is gathered, they will be used to plan the basic project approach, right? Based upon the requirement that is gathered, they will simply plan the basic project approach, and they will conduct the product feasibility. They will check whether all the requirements specified by the customer can be delivered or not. That is called as product feasibility, right? And as I told that there are 3 terms: economical feasibility, which tells the product in terms of money. Similarly, operational feasibility, whether the customer specified requirements can be brought into the operation or not. That is called as operational feasibility. And coming to the technical feasibility. So technical feasibility means what type of technical skills are to be used for developing this product. Everything will be decided in this planning and requirement analysis, right? Similarly, once you make the planning, you should assure the quality also. Once you make the planning, you should assure the quality of the particular product, end product. So that is done by identifying the risks. During the development of the product or during the development of the software product, they will estimate whether there are any risks involved in it or not. So that is what we call it as analysis. In the first slide, I have asked what do you mean by requirement analysis means. Requirements gathering is something like gathering the requirements from the customer. They arrange a meeting and all the senior members, they take the inputs from the customer, and that is what the requirement gathering is. But once the requirements gathering is completed, the senior members has to sit again and they have to analyze the requirements. The analysis is required to check whether there are any possible risks involved in the development of the product, whether we can deliver the quality assured, whether we can assure the quality of the product or not. Everything will be done under this requirement analysis stage, right? Is it okay?
Sir.
Right. So once the analysis is completed, that means once the team has been decided upon the economical feasibility, operational feasibility, and technical feasibility, then they will start the work and they will go to the next stage. What is the next stage? Define the requirements. So whatever requirements they have analyzed, in the first step, what they will do is they will clearly define and document those requirements. Everything should be recorded in the software industry, right? That is the reason why in the labs also you people are forced to write the what is this thing called?
Observation.
ల్యాబ్ లో ఏం చేస్తారమ్మా నాకు వర్డ్ రావట్లేదు. రైట్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ యూ విల్ రికార్డ్ ఇట్, రైట్? అబ్జర్వేషన్ నోట్స్.
ఎక్స్పెరిమెంట్ సార్ ల్యాబ్ లో ఎక్స్పెరిమెంట్స్
చేస్తారా?
Observation
notes, right? Everything you have to write the algorithm, you have to write the comments, everything should be documented, right? Similarly, మనం ఇక్కడ ఫాలో అవ్వకపోయినా whether we follow here or not, but the software industries strictly follow these rules that everything they do should be documented, right? So whatever requirement analysis they have done, the senior members, they again sit down and they will give it to the next team, which is nothing but the defining requirements team. And what they will do is they will clearly define and document the product requirements, right? And after that they get it approved from the customer also. Once you write the SRS document, you ask the customer, you again ask the customer that whether these are the requirements from your end or not. If the customer is satisfied, then they will document it with a document called SRS. What is this SRS? It is nothing but software requirement specification. Right. What does this software requirement specification consist of? It consists of all the requirements of the product, which is to be designed and which is to be developed during the project life cycle. Is it okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. Once we are clear with this SRS document, we will go for the third stage, which is a very important stage, which is called as designing stage, right? So here we will design the product architecture of the product, right? So SRS, from the previous stage, from the defining stage, we will take the document of SRS, which is used as a reference for the product architects. So we have architects here. At this stage we have architects of the software industry, and what they will do is they will take the SRS document and they will make it as a reference for developing the different architectures of the product, right? So as I told that we have 2 or 3 designs, and out of which one best architecture will be selected for the product to be developed, right? It is not the case that only one design is developed and the design is taken by the development team and they start the development, right? The design team is very much keen that they develop 2 or 3 models or 2 or 3 architectures for the same product, and they will decide upon the best architecture and that will be given to the development team. So once the design team is ready, what they will do is they will take the SRS and they will develop the product, they will develop a design for the product approach, and it is carefully documented, and that document is called as DDS. What is the DDS called? Design Document Specification, right? So they take the SRS and they convert it into DDS. That is the thing the designers will do, right? But that is not a simple task. It requires a lot of expertise, right? So the DDS is reviewed by all the important stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders of the product? Customer is the stakeholder. Similarly, the market analyst is a stakeholder. Similarly, the technical domain expert is a stakeholder of the product. So stakeholders are nothing but the people who are really involved in developing the product. Customer is involved. The product development team is involved. The architect is involved. The requirement analyst is involved. Similarly, there are a lot of people who involved in developing the product, right? So all these people are called as stakeholders. So once the designer develops the DDS document, design document specification, what they will do is they will give the product, or they will give this document to the stakeholders, right, to verify whether that particular DDS is meeting the requirements or not, right? It is based on various parameters as risk assessment, product robustness, design modularity, budget, time constraints. Everything is designed in this, everything is documented in this DDS. So that particular document is given to the stakeholders for a review process, right? So if everybody is satisfied, then they will go to the next step. So the design approach, what it will do is it will clearly define all the architecture modules of the product along with the communication and data flow representation, right? So what this DDS is doing is it consists of all the architectural modules of the product. For example, a product may not be designed, a product may not be completed with a single module. It requires some n number of modules, right? So all those modules architecture will be designed, and how these modules are going to communicate with each other. The communication flow between those modules will also be documented in the DDS. Similarly, how the data is going to flow from one module to another module, that is also documented in the DDS. Similarly, whether we need to go for any external third-party modules or not, that is already defined modules, right? So sometimes you need to depend on some third-party modules. Whether the product, the customer required product requires the implementation or implementation of the third-party modules or not. Everything, every minute requirement and every minute specification will be given in this DDS. That is the reason why I'm saying that DDS is a very important document, and as I told that most of the time for the product development will be spent in the DDS only, right? So once you have a very good architecture or once you have a very good design, then the conversion of the design into the product is a very simple task for the product development, right? So who is going to play a key role in this one? Everybody, but the design team is having the very key role. Once you develop a very good design, then the task of developing the product for the product development team will be very easy. But if you end up with a very bad design, then the product development team has to take a lot of risk to develop such a product, right? Is it okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
And as I told that the DDS captures the minutest details of the product. Whatever software you are going to develop, whatever product you are going to release to the customer, all the details, even the very precise details should be captured using this DDS only, right? So that is the importance of DDS. Once you are clear about this DDS, then comes the fourth phase, which is called as development phase, right? As I told that people are more interested in this phase only. Everybody wants to become a product. Everybody wants to become a member of the product development team, right? As a fresher, it is the best choice, right? So after you have a clear DDS document, then you give the DDS document to the development team. In this stage, what happens is SDLC, the actual development starts here, and the final result will be the end product, right? So what are the roles that are involved in this particular stage is, here we have the coders, programmers. All the coders will be residing in this development team, and they are responsible for the release of the product. They are responsible for the release of a quality product. How we can achieve the quality product? This is achieved only because only if you have a good DDS. How you can get a good DDS? Only if you have a good SRS. How we can get good SRS? Only by careful analysis of the requirements. How we can carefully analyze the things? Only when we get the good requirements, when we capture all the requirements from the customer. So everything is an interrelated thing, right? So the programming code is generated as per the DDS during this stage. I told you, right? Programmers have no choice of selecting which language they have to use. They can give suggestions, but the design team is more keen about what language or what programming language they should use, what technology they should use. Everything will be specified by the DDS team, design team, right? So the programming code is generated as per the DDS, and if the design is performed in a detailed and organized manner, that is what I'm saying. So if DDS is clear, the DDS is having precise and minute observations are also documented, then the code generation will be a cakewalk, right? You can develop the code very easily without much hassle, right? So there will be very the coders will the task of the coders will become very easy once you have a very clear DDS document. Similarly, the developers should follow the coding guidelines. This and everything you will follow, right? Once you enter into the software development industry, there are some ethics, coding ethics will be there, and there are some guidelines to be followed by the coders. Not that you write everything as you like, as you do in the labs, right? Labs lo meer chesina test motion cheyadaniki kudaradam. They have some coding ethics, they have some guidelines to be followed, which is prescribed by the organization. As a programmer, you have to follow those ethics. As a programmer, you have to follow those guidelines. So those guidelines are proposed by the organizations, right? And the programmer, he doesn't have any choice except his logic. As I'm telling it from the first point onwards, right? The programmer does not have a choice of making the programming language. The programmer does not have the choice of taking his own compiler. The programmer does not have the choice of taking his interpreter or debugger. Nothing is there in the hands of the programmer except the logic, right? So the DDS will tell everything. This is the programming language you have to use. These are the compilers you have to use. These are the debuggers you have to use. Everything will be specified by the DDS. And then the programmer has to take everything from the DDS and he has to implement his own logic. He has to generate his own code. This is the generation of code according to his own logic is the only step that the programmer can do. Remaining things, everything is decided by the top level team only. Top level team means designers and requirement analysts, all these things. That's the reason why I'm saying that programmers, the freshers, will be kept inside this phase 4 or phase 5. What is phase 5?
Testing, sir.
Testing, sir.
Testing, right? So either all the freshers, every fresher will be kept either in the phase 4 or phase 5. But most of the freshers, they are not interested to go to this testing phase. As I told that the testing phase, it appears as if it is a mechanical work. Rote work can you have some predefined tools and you have to do the testing, the same work, nothing innovative work is done inside this testing phase. That's the reason why as a fresher, you make interest to join the programming team or development team, right? So you will have new challenges. Someday you may be given instructions to develop a product based on Python code or Python programming language. And for the next product, the design team may ask you to develop the product using some JavaScript. And for the next product, the design team may ask you to develop the product using some DevOps. So whenever you stay in this particular phase, development phase, you have a lot of chances or you have a lot of probability to explore yourself or to learn new things. New technologies can be learned in this phase 4 only. Phase 5, you cannot explore the things, right? It is a rote work, it is a mechanical work, which is a routine work. So the people who want to enjoy in the software industry, they can go for this testing, and people who want to have the challenging tasks, they prefer to join the phase 4, which is nothing but the development. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Right. So you can use, you means not the programmer, the designer. The designer will tell a choice that whether you have to go for the high level language, C, C++, Pascal, Java, PHP, JavaScript, Python, whatever language, you can make use of these high level languages, right? Similarly, the programming language is chosen with respect to the software that is being developed. Next, after, what is the output of phase 4? What is the output of phase 4? The actual product which you want to develop, right? The actual product which you want to develop. So once the product is developed, as I told that, the product is given to the testing team. That is phase 5. So actually the testing team, if you carefully observe the software industry, so the testing team will be present in each and every stage. It's not only related to phase 5. In the requirement analysis phase also, you may have some testers. Similarly, in the SRS also, you may have some testers. In the DDS also, you may have some testers, right? But these testers are exclusively related to test the DDS document. Similarly, the testing team that is involved in the SRS stage, they will be involved in testing the SRS document, right? Like that, you may have the testers in each and every stage, But why we are specifying explicitly in stage 5 means this is the testing team for the entire product. These people, these testing people, they will verify whether the product that is developed has met the requirements of the customer or not, right? So this is the testing team for the entire product. That is the reason why we are saying it as testing the product, right? So as I told that the testing team will be involved in each and every previous stage also. They are involved in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 also. But most probably or most most formally we say that the phase 5 is a testing team which involves the testing of the entire product, right? So what is the responsibility of this testing team means? As I told that they will test the product. They will test the product and they will check whether there are any defects in the product or there or not. They will report all the product defects in the product. They will track those product defects. They will fix them. It's not that testing team that will be fixed. As I told that whenever there is a defect, they will again send it back to the product development team, and the product development team will fix them and again send it back to the testing team, and they are retested again and again. They will retest, and once the testing team got satisfied with the product. So how the product is satisfied? How the product is, how can you know that the product is satisfied or not?
Of the మనం రిక్వైర్మెంట్ మీట్ అవుతే అప్పుడు క్లయింట్ సాటిస్ఫై అవుతారు.
Super. We need to know that whether the product has been met with the requirements of the customer or client or not, right? Where we have documented the requirements of the customer. Requirements ఎక్కడ పెట్టామా మనం? What is the document called as?
DDS. Yes, DDS sir.
It's not DDS, SRS.
SRS sir. Okay.
SRS stands for Software Requirement Specification. Right.
Okay.
So all the requirements will be documented in the SRS document. So the testing team will take this SRS document and they will what they will do is they will test the product that is released by the product team, and they keep on testing unless the product has met all the requirements that are specified in the SRS. SRS lo ఉన్న ప్రతి పాయింట్ కూడా ఈ ప్రోడక్ట్ మీట్ అయిందో లేదో చెక్ చేస్తారు, right? So once the product has been tested successfully and once the testing team is satisfied that the product has met the requirements that are specified in the SRS, what they will do is they will simply deploy it. They will go for the next stage, which is called as deployment. They will deploy it into the market and they will start giving the maintenance, right? So once the product is tested and ready to be deployed, it is released formally in the appropriate market. Again, there are two types of releasing the product. They may release it in the stage by stage, like what we'll say, we'll call it as versions, right? They can release it in the form of versions, or they can release the entire product as a single product at one stage. There are two ways we can by which we can release the product. Is it okay? So sometimes the product deployment happens in the stages as per the business strategy of the organization, right? So if it is a new product, for example, assume that this is not a customer based project. The company itself has started developing a new product based upon some artificial intelligence or machine learning. Now the organization, after developing the product, the organization may think of and they can develop the right. So assume that a software industry, they are planning to develop a new software and they want to release it to the market. But After developing the product, they won't release the entire product to the market, right? They will release it in terms of versions, version 1.0, version 2.0, like that, right? So it depends on the product which the organization is developing, and it also depends upon the business strategy of the organization. That we are not bothered about these things, right? So the product may be first to be released as a limited segment and then tested with the real-time environment, right? Once you release one version 1.0, once you release it, so the customers or the market, what they will do is they will download the software and they make use of that software, right? So once it has been tested, they take the reviews from the customer and then they will again implement the defects that are implemented in version 1.0 and they will release the next version with 2.0 or 1.1, something like that, right? So it entirely depends on the market strategy or the business strategy of the organization, right? So based on the feedback, as I told, that based upon the feedback, the product may be released as it is, or whatever comments or whatever suggestions that are given by the user or whatever enhancement that are suggested by the end user, they will be implemented and then released into the market, right? So once the product is released in the market, its maintenance is done with the existing customer base, right? Maintenance is an optional thing that is provided by the organization, right? Some organizations, they will take the responsibility of maintenance, but some organizations, once they release the product, they won't take the responsibility of maintenance. It depends upon the organization, right? So once this phase is completed, that is the end of software development lifecycle. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. So there are various software development lifecycle models that are designed for the software development process. And as I told that, these are called as, they are referred to as software development process models. What are these things called? SDLC models or software development process models, right? So each process will have a series of steps, right? How many steps we have seen here? 6 steps, right? So all these 6 steps, they follow some strategy. For example, if I take waterfall model, all the 6 steps will be done one after the other. So once you complete the requirement analysis, then you go for the defining. Once you complete the defining, then you go for the designing. Once you complete designing, you go for development. After development, you go for testing. After testing, you go for deployment. So that is the strategy that is followed by the waterfall model, right? So if you go for another model, spiral model, so it appears something like this. It looks like a spiral thing where one stage may mingle with other stage also, right? So 2 or more stages may be combined. 2 or more stages may be combined parallelly, right? So that is how the different models, the different software development lifecycle models will vary, right? So it is nothing but they follow a sequence of steps unique to its type. So if it is a waterfall model, they have its own step. If it is a iterative model, it takes another series of steps. Similarly, if it is a spiral model, it takes its own steps for the spiral model. Like that, every SDLC model will take its own steps for developing the software, right? So in the market or in the software industry, we have different types of models like waterfall model, iterative model, spiral model, V model, Big Bang model, agile methodology. This is the most important methodology that is being followed in the present day market scenario. Present day lo manaki ekkuva use chesedi agile methodology, right? And similarly we have RAD. RAD stands for rapid application development model. Similarly we have prototyping models. So all these things are different SDLC models we have. What are those? Waterfall model, iterative model, spiral model, V model, Big Bang model, rapid application development model, prototyping, and agile models, right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's all about the SDLC models. In the next class, we'll discuss the time complexities, notations, big O notations, big omega notation, all these notations we'll discuss, right? So you can leave the session.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.